Hey, what's going on, guys? Back with another video, and today I'm doing the Meshuggah album review for their new record, Immutable. I got, I did all the reactions for last Friday. Uh, did Man, that was a lot of fun doing that, and all the songs have been great. So I know I promised I'd do this, so I'm getting around to doing it finally. And yeah, so just kind of getting into my thoughts is like Meshuggah has over the years I feel like had a pretty steady evolution. Their sound evolved from the early years of taking heavy inspiration. I feel like from Metallica, at least, they sound the most similar to that, utilizing six strings, making their way sevens, and then eventually, to what they're doing now with the eight strings, and really just kind of being the trailblazers and kickstarting the whole progressive metal, gent, whatever you want to call it, scene. As we know it now. I mean, if you ask most of the people in the progressive metal scene, who like one of their biggest inspirations is, Meshuggah is going to be on the list of all of theirs. And yeah, I mean, it's been 6 years since we got the last record from them, and very clearly they have not skipped a beat. The albums, it's not totally something like completely different. It's the overall sound you can expect from Meshuggah, but evolved and, in my opinion, a little bit more refined. I definitely, not to compare it too much to other albums because I don't like to do that, but I definitely enjoyed this one a lot better than the last record they put out. From the onset of the opening track, Broken Cog, it was very clear Meshuggah means business on this record, because man, the opening riff just punches you in the gut, and it doesn't stop throughout the entire song. And also, they add in an eerie element to the song with spoken word vocals, which I don't know. I keep going back to that track, and it's amazing. The Abysmal Eye, Light the Shortening Fuse, probably I feel like they're some of the least inventive tracks on the record, but not like to knock them. Like, they're still fantastic tracks. What I just mean by that is they just kind of, they're a little bit more reminiscent of older Meshuggah stuff, and I feel like that's why they were singles, because they were able to draw in the audience. Especially after being off for 6 years, you do want to kind of have that familiarity with your singles. Going to the next track, though, Phantoms. That's the track that has been by far and away online, from what I've seen, talked about the most, and rightfully so. I mean, it's one of the best from the record, and it's got a lot of groove, a lot of groove, and it's syncopated rhythmic guitar at the beginning of the track, the brutal breakdown, which utilizes drop tuning, which I can't remember, and I listened to it again. I don't think there was any drop tuning on the last record, so it's cool to see them bring that back into the fold, kind of vary up the sound a little bit. I mean, obviously with an extended range 8-string guitar, you can get a lot of sonic variability just by keeping in one tuning, but it's always cool to hear that stuff and have them utilize that, especially since it's not something that they utilize very often. Ligature Marks, another great track. Gotten a lot of buzz from fans as well. It's got a great guitar line. It's got a lot of back and forth between, the low rhythms and the bends, which is really cool. The bends were something on the record that I feel like were utilized a lot, which was cool. Kind of a little bit reminiscent of the new Spirit Box record, and that kind of style. So I'm wondering if that was like an inspiration or not, but this might have been recorded before that was out. God He Sees the Mirrors, another track, great bendy guitar riffs, really cool seeing that get incorporated more into the music that's going around. And it gave those bendy type riffs, I don't feel like were as prevalent in the previous records, and it kind of gave this album its own guitar flavor, and that's what I kind of mean by it's the same classic Meshuggah sound, but evolved a bit, which is cool. They Move Below, great slow track, groove, eerie feeling, intro, and it also shows the flexibility Thorndahl's and Hagstrom's guitar playing, just being able to kind of do that, especially in an instrumental setting, because you don't have the vocals there to back it up. Kaleidoscope, great track. It's got the classic chromatic riffage that Meshuggah's known for, and is very prevalent throughout their music. And as usual, it's executed amazingly, awesome rhythmic syncopation that keeps it fresh. And it, like I said, it's a classic Meshuggah thing for them to use, but given that different rhythmic syncopation to it, it keeps it fresh, not worn out, not an overused trope that a lot of bands, they have their shtick or whatever, and they just beat it to death. But they keep. That's what I'm saying. It's evolved and more refined, on this record. I feel like the sound. Black Cathedral serves as a great intro to I Am That Thirst. I really wish we had have gotten this along with I Am Thirst when that was released as a single, because it just made me enjoy the track a lot more. It gave kind of this lead up to it, to the big explosion during the intro. And that was another thing. All these tracks are, in very classic Meshuggah fashion, just right off the bat just hit you, unless it's, a slower track, obviously. As for I Am That Thirst itself, again, it's just kind of like one of those singles, a little more reminiscent of the older records. For the single, it gives the fans something to kind of harken back to without expanding outside the comfort zone too much. And it's also cool to see them have a song where I don't believe at all really utilize the low 8 string. So kind of go back to the 7. Obviously they're probably still playing on an 8, but again, gives that variability and shows them that, it's not just one of these progressive metal bands that just, do a bunch of ones and zeros on the low string and call it a day. They're still trying to expand and keep the sonic palette, fairly wide, which is cool. The Faultless, another great track that's got the syncopated line for the intro for switching up into a riff. Got a little more movement to it when the vocals kick in, and that's cool. You get the dichotomy of when the vocals are in, it's doing this riff, and then when it's not, it's this thing. And it's got a nice push-pull feel to it, which is really cool. Armies of the Preposterous, words preposterous, is absolutely relentless and extremely impressive performance from Thomas Hawk. It's another track that utilizes the drop tuning, which again, like I said before, it's cool to see that sonic variety being utilized in the music. And finally, to wrap up the track by track here, Past Tense. It's more of a subdued track, and like I said in the video, I believe it showcases the band's musicianship, but also serves as like an epilogue to the album, because you've got all these super, super heavy, for the most part, tracks that are just kind of hitting you hard, and then you kind of get this like release from that tension with the last track. The standout tracks for me, Broken Cog and Phantoms, absolutely showcase the band's musicianship, and they're the ones that I've gone back and listened to the most. They're some of the ones that I've heard people talk about the most online, and for very, very good reason. I mean, Broken Cog has got to be one of the best opening tracks I've heard on a metal record in recent memory. It just hits you hard, and it gets you pumped for the rest of the record, which is exactly what an opening track should do. And overall, the album is a journey. It was a joy to listen to, and I'm very, very glad to see, not everybody in the music space is going for these short, condensed, half-hour albums. They went for a full hour, which was very refreshing, because, not to knock them or anything, but bands like Animals as Leaders and some of the other groups that we've covered here recently, shorter albums. And it's nice to see that format still kind of stay alive in its original form. Yeah. So I'd probably give the album an 8 out of 10. It's not, I don't think, absolutely transcendent like some of their earlier records as far as how much they move the needle in the genre, but it is a fantastic Meshuggah record. I think it's exactly what fans were wanting from it. And, it's always good hearing one of the godfathers of progressive metal still doing their thing, later in their career and absolutely killing it. And, it's also cool seeing, from what I've seen, universal praise from many people, other musicians, just fans online. So, and of course, it's got, much praise and gratitude from me, because it's a joy to listen to. I'm going to keep listening to it for many more weeks, months, and years to come, probably. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this again. I'm still kind of relatively new to the album review thing, so I'm still kind of dialing in the format and whatnot. So let me know any changes or any things you want to see. Future album reviews, definitely got more of those coming, so stay tuned for that. I'll catch you on the next one. If you enjoyed that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That way you don't miss any future videos. Also, go follow me over on Instagram. I'm trying to push that a little more and get some more content of me playing and my own little riffs out there. And for your viewing pleasure, here are 2 more videos for you to check out.